Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is April 29th, 2026. That's more than 6 years of Torah every single weekday morning, finding each other so we can say good morning to Neil and Jay, Deborah and Susie, Jonathan. It's good to see all of you. Let's see who's here on Facebook so we can say hello all over the place. Scott and Judy Booker Tove. Good to see you, Linda. Welcome. Wherever you will be until Monday, take good care of yourself too. Adrian, miss you, my friend. Good to see you. Ron and Arlene. Rabbi Cantor, welcome. Michelle, welcome, welcome. All right, let's have a few more good mornings and then we'll get started with our bracha and learning. Barbara and Amy, Yoram, what a gift to see your new name, your deep name, as part of our community as you've been for so long, but now with your name. Gewalt. Jack and Valerie, good to see you. Cecile and Marcia, Dave, Jerry and Julianne, welcome. It's good to see you too. Debbie and Barry, Eileen and Carl, good morning. Cynthia, nice to see you too. Let's take a breath, sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Here we go. All right, everybody. Good morning. It's good to see all of you. Tziona, thank you for making sure that what is happening in our world is part of our Torah. Let's make sure that we know how to pay attention so that when our family needs us, we know. Just now in London, in Golders Green, which is one of the concentrations of the Jewish community in London, there was a stabbing attack. It just happened. Two Jewish men, were attacked, and they're both in very serious condition. Their names have not been released, and so let's pray for the community and for the two individuals whose names we don't know yet, that they should emerge safe and healthy, recover from this terrible attack. And the London community, which has been suffering seriously with growing anti-Semitism, let's make sure that we are paying attention and advocating for our families' safety. Just recently, when I saw the play with some of us in our community, Giant, on Broadway, about Roald Dahl, whose genius with children's literature was surpassed by his venomous anti-Semitism, we spoke with one of the actors in the play, and the actor pointed out that one of the big differences between the British Jewish audiences that he's experienced and the American Jewish audiences that he's experienced is the confidence that we bring and the way that we do not get quiet when we are under attack. And the British Jewish community is certainly not quiet, but there's a different cultural way. This actor observed, Elliot Levy observed, that differentiates between the two community. And so I would invite us to raise our voices in solidarity with the London Jewish community. If you have a way of speaking up and reaching out to friends in London, you do so today. It is our obligation not just to pray, but to act and to bring all the strength that we might have, even when we don't feel it, to bear for the sake of our community. So let's move forward into Torah, knowing the essential nature of being a family together and mutual support. By the way, those who are asking about Facebook notifications, I wish I could tell you, but we begin just about the same time every day, and I'm really glad that you're here. Now, Parshat Emor, where we find ourselves, is a fascinating parsha because it deals, as we've spoken about this week, it deals with the priests' roles and the limitations on their functions and how they have to hold themselves aloft in community. And it also, in a very interesting way, shifts into not just religious service, the practice of the priests, but also the calendar itself, the time in which the service is done. The calendar, in a biblical sense, really does center on the three pilgrimage festivals, the Shalosh Regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot. Those are listed as the central holidays for the Torah. In fact, even though our year begins with Rosh Hashanah, that's actually not the way the Torah begins the year. The Torah's year begins with Nisan, the month with Passover. And so for us to recognize that our cycle of time is a little bit at odds with the Torah's notion of our calendar should be interesting to see how we've grown and changed over time. But there is a linkage in this week's Parsha that should also surprise us. That the holidays are listed in order, and each one is connected to the agricultural cycle of that region of the world where today the state of Israel stands. And we read in this week's Parsha, it's chapter 23, verse 22 of Leviticus, and when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not reap all the way to the edges of your field, or gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I, the Lord, am your God. It's very powerful to hear that even in the Torah's instructions for how to celebrate the holidays, which are centered on the agricultural cycle of the year, all of those holidays connected to reaping and sowing and harvesting, immediately the rules for harvesting are offered in the context of the holidays, which is to say, yes, this holiday is about what happens in your field. Remember what it is to live a life of obligation. You might assume that with all the work that goes into reaping and harvesting and sowing and tending, people, farmers, especially those who had been homeless for so long, would then not give away what they have so quickly and would maximize how much they harvest. Comes the Torah and says, no, don't do that. No matter how hard you have worked to derive benefit from your land, and we would say this agriculturally or economically, no matter how successful we are called to share. It is a central religious obligation, so much so that this juxtaposition leads the rabbis of antiquity to say that one who leaves the gleanings, the forgotten sheaves, and the corner of the field to the poor as it ought to be, what's the reward for it? It is regarded as though he had built the temple and offered his sacrifices therein. Listen for that. First of all, the rabbis are speaking in the aftermath of the temple. There is no temple anymore. So when they say, when you practice economic justice, when you give tzedakah, which should not be understood as charity, but justice giving, when we give what we are obligated to give back to the community on a cycle that travels through time, regardless of how well we're doing or how good we feel or even how safe we feel, we are called while we work to make sure that those who are more vulnerable than us can have what they need. This is, and Scott just points this out, this is central to the book of Ruth that we will read in just a few weeks on Shavuot. She is able to provide for herself and for her mother-in-law, Naomi, because of this essential practice, leaving the gleanings in the corner of the field, peah, v'shichacha. And so it is beautiful to see the weaving of time and justice in the core of who we are, because who we are as a people is a people who moves through time together and a community that tends to ourselves and to others. Sforno, who's a 16th century Italian commentator, says this, that the only way to ensure that one does not lose one's own money, so if we are on this side of the equation doing the giving, but we worry no matter how successful we are, this might not last. I'm successful now. What about tomorrow? Wise planning only gets you so far. People are legitimately concerned given the volatile world in which we live. So the only way to ensure, Sforno says, that one does not lose one's own money is by engaging liberally in handing out charity. The legislation in the verse to leave the corner of the fields then is this insurance for the farmer not to lose his crop even after he's already brought it into the barn, which is to say, the only way to know that you will be okay is take care of someone else. And our holiday reminds us that the only way to ensure that we will be okay is by sharing what we've been blessed to have. That means that economically, agriculturally, we face the world and we recognize that vulnerability is a matter sometimes of chance, the circumstance of birth and of time, how the world treats us. And so one of the things we must make sure that we do not ignore is also what safety and security means. When we hear of members of the human family, and in our case specifically in the Jewish family, whose vulnerability is being exploited. I'm looking at the pictures on my screen of two Jewish men in London who were just attacked for being Jewish. The only way for me to truly address my own safety, I mean, I should take care of them because that's what a human being does. But the power here is to recognize that it is only a matter of circumstance. The only way that I can tend to my children or myself is to take care of my sisters and brothers. That is the same when it comes to food. It is the same when it comes to housing. It is the same when it comes to physical safety. The Torah's concern is based on an agrarian society, the agriculture that our ancestors were occupied with. That's their world. Our world is not devoid of that, but is not only defined by that. And so communal welfare has to be an immediate concern because it is the right thing to do, the Torah says so, and because there's a reward. If you do it, it's as if you built the temple and offered your sacrifices there. And also, what theologian Paul Farmer calls pragmatic solidarity. The only way for me to take care of me is to take care of you, because there is a good chance that I'll be on the receiving end of this kind of support at some time, or my descendants will be. And so we pay it forward by not waiting for us to be the ones in need. There are always human beings in need. And unfortunately, until Mashiach comes, that's how it's going to be. But our obligation here is to take care of each other with no hesitation, for at least these reasons and many more. It's the right thing to do. You don't know if you're going to be the one in need, and there's a reward, an incalculable one in the eyes of heaven. That should be enough. And what would be even better? A world of no need. May we be blessed sometime very soon to not have these kinds of headlines, to not have this kind of reality. No people ever should know this kind of vulnerability. Let's pray for that day to come sooner than we expected. And let's remember that the song with which we close, the anthem of the Jewish people, Hatikva, is an indefatigable kind of hope, one that has led us to envision a world that is too long in coming. But we've managed to create more than we ever thought we would be able. May we even build further. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi Homia Ulefate Mizrach Kadima Ayin Letzion Sophia Od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.